Hello, everybody. Welcome back. For those of you, you should know me by now. My name is Carolyn Spangler, and I'm an educational recovery leader. I've been working in your district now since, I guess, about February or March of this year on a daily basis, and it's been my pleasure to get to work with you. Today's the third working session of this board. And the purpose of our work together is to ensure that we collectively, collaboratively, and united in looking at our deficiencies that were found in February 2013. We have a upcoming diagnostic review by the State Department sometime, probably January or February, I would assume. And our work together is to ensure that we have looked at our deficiencies and that we as board members, that we have looked at what it is we need to work on, and that we've intentionally attacked those areas that they said that we needed to. And we've already started that process. I will begin tonight just as a quick review, and I just realized I've jumped in front of the superintendent. I should allow him to welcome everyone. Excuse me, sir. Is there anything you'd like to say?
We only have an hour.
I was thinking that it was the chair you jumped over. He was going to call the meeting over.
Pardon me, excuse me, please. Are we okay?
We're in session, right?
Yes, that's good. Oh, well. All right.
We're going to miss you when you're gone, Carol, right?
I'm sure that you will be looking for entertainment otherwise than my bloopers. So please do excuse me. I did not mean any disrespect in any way. I guess you know we do have an hour and I do talk a lot. I just have a couple of things and then I'm going to turn it over to Superintendent Meadows and our Chief Academic Officer, Miss Lisa Kirk, who I've been working closely with in this process. The very first thing I want you to do, I just want you to remember a couple of things. One, each time you come, I would ask that you bring your notebook. And if you didn't, it's not a fuss or a scolding. You will not get a sticker this time. But I don't want you to feel bad about it. But the reason I want you to bring it, all kidding aside, is so that you can make notes and those type things. Just be sure you add your papers to your notebook. Because, friends, the notebook is just all about a source and a resource to help you in your everyday work. The second thing I want to reiterate is any questions that you have of Superintendent or Ms. Kirk or myself, you ask us as we go along. If there's something that needs clarifying, it's our job to assist and support you in your work and through these documents. Because I will tell you this, as Lisa and I was going over the agenda today, we said, you know what, this is a lot of information. And the last thing I would like to tell you before I go over the deficiencies is you don't have to know every single thing about every single thing. You don't have to memorize them. But when we talk about the CDIP, the Consolidated District Improvement Plan, what is it that you need to know? One, you need to know that that plan is the driver of all that we do in Martin County. Each school has their own individual a consolidated school improvement plan that's went through a process beginning with a variety of data sets that the councils looked at, that the teachers and the staff and parents have looked at, and they've created those goals and they've put it into a nice plan of action. They've submitted it to Ms. Kirk and Superintendent and eventually to you. It feeds the big district-wide plan, and I'm stealing some of your show. That's Miss Lisa. She mans that all the time.
So can I ask you?
Yes, sir.
Which
reading through some of the material, again, hopefully this don't sound stupid, but where it says the staff that engages in organizational learning, they have higher achieving students. What does that exactly mean? Organizational?
Say that one more time.
A staff that engages in organizational learning they have higher achieving students. What do you mean by
Okay.
organizational?
It's your professional learning communities is a very good example of that, or your administrative team even. Everyone has a variety of skill sets that they bring to the table. They look at data points or data sets. If it's a professional learning community at the school level, Miss Lisa, stop me at any point in time, but what they do is they have conducted some type of common assessment. If it's English language arts teachers, and they brought that data to the table, and we've looked at how our kids are performing, and Kathleen, your kids outperform mine, Mr. Ball's students outperform mine, so I might say, look at my data, can you all help me to determine what I might could do to have my students to be as equitably distributed among the data points. Does that make sense?
That's interesting that you give me and Kathleen, because we are in an area that has those scores.
Distinction.
Distinction.
Oh, well, now, no time for bragging.
Yeah, we are from the right side of the hill.
I think Ronnie's wearing a Warfield shirt tonight too, aren't you?
It's an old Warfield High School shirt.
Yeah.
That's wonderful, and I'm teasing you. I think it's
Well, distinguished school, not a school distinction.
That's right.
That's all right.
There is a distinction.
very honorable. I'm just going to bring your attention to two things, and then I promise to turn it over. Look at page 56 in your notebook, and if you don't have it, just share.
I'm not sure.
Where it says
We're gonna be close tonight.
where it says 2013 Leadership Assessment Diagnostic Review Addendum. This is what it looks like, okay? Now, what I want you to pay attention to, deficiency 1, and remember, in our last working session, that's where we began, right? Addressing deficiency 1. It says that district leadership is not ensured that the comprehensive district improvement plan drives decision-making throughout the district. Ms. Lisa and the superintendent will speak to that in a moment. But what I want you to take a special note is it says there is little or no evidence of improvement regard to this deficiencies. This district received 5 deficiencies. Out of those 5, 4 said that rating. 4 of your deficiencies was given the rating that there is little or no evidence of improvement with regard to those deficiencies. And the reason I want to take note to that, that's what you're doing. You're taking note. You're taking action. You have been taking action. So I want to commend you for that. Okay? Now, tonight, I'm going to turn it over to Miss Lisa. Let me see. Tonight, no I'm not. Tonight we're going to look at deficiency 2, which says district leadership has not ensured that the analysis of data and policies drive the district. It's page 57. So what we've done is we've addressed deficiency 1, and we will flash back and review a few pieces of that. And tonight, your superintendent is going to talk to you just a little bit about what's been done toward addressing deficiency 2. I have to say this. When I came here, when I first came here and met with Superintendent Meadows and let him know that I was the monitor for Kentucky Department of Education, I said, I need to see the progress that you will be leading and making toward addressing these deficiencies. And he said, ma'am, I began addressing those before I ever took the job. And he laid out the deficiencies and his plan of attack. I think it was a 100-day entry-level plan. I'm not going to speak for him. He can speak for himself. And I say that for this purpose. When you know that for the last 4 years, the first 2010 audit you had these ratings. You had ratings of you as a whole, and it's not personal, it's whoever was in control and a collaborative board at that time had not addressed those deficiencies. So they come back by regulation in 2013, and what are you still getting? So that's our purpose tonight, starting with the superintendent and with this collective board. With that, I will turn it over to the superintendent. He will speak to deficiency 2, and we will go on in the agenda. Miss Lisa will pick up after that.
Okay.
Thank you, Carolyn. On the deficiency 2, first I'd like to say is we got our data. This is SRC drives everything. So in our discussions, this is just more than just prep time during your interviews for the DRs, but it's what drives the instruction in any school district. And we just received the SRC data with school report card and with the district and school data on it. That is, that's the wealth and really the central focus of our platform moving forward in how we implement and how we inform our instruction and what we do. It drives our CSIP and CDIP. We're not waiting to rewrite a CSIP or CDIP in December or January. We're beginning to inform those instructional strategies now. So the SRC data that we looked at, I looked back at my notes, it was back in, I think, October 8th last year. It'll be this board meeting. Each principal will come in and they'll do a 5 to 8 minute presentation on what their data is. I think most of you probably already seen that when it's on a website, or I think we sent some news releases to the media as well. They'll be providing you with what the highlights and some of the areas of improvement. So that really is it's one source, it's the SRC, but it is a driving source of what we do in instruction, how we inform our instruction. Another point, and I'll just add this in, is our TEL survey. We looked at the TEL survey last year. It's a 2-year cycle. So this coming, we have the same TEL survey, the same data that we're using. We will be able to monitor our CSIP, which is the school improvement plan. And then, of course, when we have the school improvement plans, we can then create our district improvement plan as well. But they should be, and will be, and are in line with one another. The TEL survey is another point of source, but it's a 2-year cycle. So those were given in the spring. So in the spring of 2015, we'll go through another TEL cycle, and then we'll have new data for next year. But since it's 2 years, we work on that same data. So on the deficiency 2, which is our district leadership has not ensured that the analysis of data and policies drive the district. As I just said, the most important piece of information, if anyone asks you or anyone else in this district, teacher, even we could extend that to instructional assistants or paraeducators, is that what drives data, or rather how do you make decisions here? It's data. It's data-driven decisions. And what data is that? Well, the big piece of data that we use, we just got, and that's the school report card. And you can drill down from the overall classification of the district, the classification and percentile of a school, down into a class, by the classroom. If you have, in your 3rd grade, you have 3 third-grade classrooms, all the way down to an individual student of being a novice, apprentice, proficient, or distinguished. So there's a lot of drilling there, but all of that data we've already started to analyze. That's what really drives the decisions of this district. The TEL survey also is included in there. Needs assessments are included in there.
So what it stated, what I read in there is, of course, we collect data on strengths and weaknesses, but where we were lacking, it said we need to use it as a guide to develop improvement strategies like we weren't.
Okay.
So
Each school, and we were talking about this today over the last couple of days, I believe we have one school yet to have their data room, or do we have 2?
I think we have 2 elementaries that do notebooks instead of rooms.
That do notebooks. All of the schools have, well, the others have a data room. I mean, and it's confidential. I mean, because a lot of times, especially at the high school, you'll walk in and you'll see names and where these students are in their novice, apprentice, proficient, distinguished. It could be their college and career readiness status or status by name. So each school should either have a data room or the data notebooks. Now, our elementaries that I think it's Warfield and Inez both have data notebooks, and they use them.
So it's evident.
Every day they use those, and it is evident every day.
So there is, to the students, I guess, and to the faculty, there is communication that says, it says we need communication of results, and you need proof of positive results, so that is occurring though.
Right, and if I may interrupt, at the school level, so they have their PLCs, like especially when they come in to do the audit, they'll be concerned about what's going on at the high school and what you and I are doing as support to the high school. They have those planned PLCs built into their schedule. They meet in the data room, they analyze test results, they plan for next steps, whether it's the next unit they're teaching or their next section in the red zone or RTI. So that's how data is driving their instruction. They're using that data to make decisions on who's going into which red zone. They're using that data to see who needs retaught what skill before the end of the course exam.
Miss Lisa, if I might interject right here, friends, forgive me if you already know this, but a professional learning community is normally an English department. They have common planning time, a math department, a science department, and those type of things. So they look at those data and make decisions about English language arts or science or math, and then they have conferences with students, and the red zone at the high school is an intervention time for students who need some extra help. So when you hear that red zone, that's an intervention time, and I'm sure you probably already know that.
So does that also include what I mentioned in there about differentiation and strategies and techniques used with students and different learning styles?
Right, which was like a good example that Carolyn was giving us when she said, you know, like if Gary and Kathleen gave the exam and hers were weaker, then that would be a real opportunity to see what did they do differently that I did, and perhaps it's my instruction and I need to change my instruction. We're trying to move, and that's getting off on a tangent, I guess, more from a differentiating, being an afterthought to being proactive, and before we give the test, what are we actually doing to differentiate to ensure success of all the students the first time around.
Differentiation should be in that professional learning community. It should be looking at a variety of data sets, and it says these 50 students out of 100 get it. So what do they do during my class period? These 20 almost have it. So maybe I'm going to take them during an intervention period, or I'm going to do something on the computer to enhance the need or the skill set. And these 10 over here, I may have an instructional assistant or a special education teacher, a collaborative teacher to deal with these 10 because they are struggling the worst. Does that make sense? So these 50 over here that's got it, we're going to have those go on and do the next level something while someone's on the computer getting some more intervention that way, some one-on-one intervention from a collaborative teacher. And a lot of that information is decided, friends, right in that professional learning community, right among those teachers. They are making those decisions before they get back to the classroom.
So you're talking about, so that's another thing they pointed out about collaboration we needed, which I'm sure it's going on now, but collaboration between the staff and your support staff, or sort of like aides or whatever you have, right? So
I think they're also looking at that as a support staff from us, support staff from the district office. And one thing that we've started intentionally since Mr. Meadows has come is a district data team. And I think, Mr. Harless, I think you've been here before when we've been meeting. And it's Mr. Baker, myself, Ms. James, and Donna Fitch. And we meet it sporadically, depending on the need. Sometimes we meet every week, sometimes it's bi-weekly. But we just finished meeting to conclude our district quarterly report, which is again something that we've started under Mr. Meadows. And it's required by the state We had not been doing that requirement of the state, which is part of this data analysis. So I feel really good that we're
So
covering
that's one
some
of
of
the
that.
things they said you need, increased collaboration with staff and support
Yes.
services.
So once we all get together as a district and meet here, and we'll be sending you that report, I guess I'll be submitting that by Friday for my weekly report. But once we get that, we have tabs of tons of information. Then Mr. Baker and Donna meet with the elementary principals and go over it with their SAT team, which is a student assistance team. So we have district support going out to provide student assistance support, breaking down what does our MAP scores tell us, what do we need to do for this kid that's not performing well. So we have a lot of layers of support in place for the schools. But now most of your interview will be about what are we doing for the high school. And so we also sit in on the schools, high school's leadership team meeting. We meet on Tuesdays, I believe it's Tuesday, second period, and usually bi-weekly. Again, that's as needed, sometimes it's more often than that. And we look at school data. We have what we call big rock plans. What are we doing the next 30 days for curriculum, for behavior, and culture. Those are our three, right? And so we look at those and we monitor. Red, it hasn't been done. Green, it's been done effectively. Yellow, we're working on it, but it's not there yet. And we add to that plan, 30 day, 60 day, 90 day, and so on. So again, there's district support out to the schools for those leadership meetings.
And it's a bottom top both ways, you know. When you come in for the October 13th, next week for your board meeting, we're gonna have another dashboard up here with some other indicators on, because, you know, what do you make your decisions? What do you base your decision? How do you know we need 2 school buses? How do you know that? Because I tell you? Really, I mean, I could very well say we don't need it. I could very well say we don't need it.
I just got this, jotted that down. It says, talk about us focusing on the core academic programs, and it does not encompass what you're talking about, school buses, all divisions or functions of the school system, such as human resources and transportation.
And again, going back to the deficiency, it says that the analysis of data and policies drive the district. There's just a plethora of almost overwhelming amount of data that comes into our district every day. But we want to base those decisions not on how we feel, but what's the data telling us. And so the decisions that you make, do we need a teacher? Do we need an assistant? Do we need 2 buses? What do we make that decision on? What do we make that decision on? How many buses do we have? How many are 10 years or older? What's the half-life? How much is it costing us per bus to keep those? I mean, there's a lot of decisions on that when we come in, and you don't necessarily get into the weeds on why we need 2 buses, but we tell you that's where we are. We coordinated or collaborated with the state, and they said, okay, you're due for 2 buses 2 years ago, and we need 2 buses. How do you know you need a roof? Well, the same kind of data. First question to ask, how long has the roof been on there? Is it leaking? What kind of shingles? Who was the contractor? Who was the architect? So every decision that you make as board members, you're going to be asked that. And the citizens ask, how do you make these decisions? So there's a lot of data coming at you, a lot. Financial, when it comes to personnel, when it comes to resources, facilities. But student achievement is really what drives the train here. That's where we rise or fall.
And we have 5 central questions that we ask across the district, and we ask it with our quarterly on every tab. And it's, what does the data tell us? What does the data not tell us? What are our areas to celebrate? What are our needs of improvement? And what is our next action plan? So as they start analyzing their K-Prep scores, they're going to be looking at that by subject, answering each of those questions. And we drill down. If there's an area that looks gray, we say the five whys. The 5 whys. Why did we get this data? Well, why did we get this layer of the data? And we drill down until we try to pinpoint the root cause of why a score is an outlier, or why scores across the board are consistently low. So, and that's across the district, and that'll be in the quarterly report. When you scroll down, and you'll see all this data, but if you keep on going, you'll see the data questions by quarter, and this is our first quarter for submitting it.
Okay, Ms. Lisa, I'd like to take us right, are you finished, sir?
Yes.
With your update, thank you kindly. Superintendent has updated you on deficiency 2. So at this point, there's 5 deficiencies. We've already addressed deficiency 1, and now we've addressed deficiency 2. And within our report, we also had improvement priorities, and they are shalls. You shall do. That begins on page 46. It begins on page 45. We addressed 3 of those last time, 1.1 all the way through 2.4. Tonight, Miss Lisa is going to begin with page 46, starting with 2.5.
Okay, just a brief review. On page 45 was our last month's session. And so in your notebook that we already had for you, it had our CSIP process. We had those flow charts. So those will answer all of those deficiencies, 1.1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's just, just an FYI for you. Tonight we're going to be looking at starting with 2.5, then 2.6 and 3.4, 3.1 and 3.2. All right, 2.5, I'm going to stand here so look, Gary. 2.5, develop opportunities for improving stakeholder communications and involvement, examine ways to involve stakeholders in shaping decisions, providing feedback, working collaboratively on system improvement efforts, and providing meaningful leadership roles. So one of the first things in your handouts that we have is our next flow chart, which is our guided coalition. We talked a little bit about this last month, and I couldn't believe it seemed like it's been forever. I couldn't believe it's only been 4 weeks. It seems like it's been forever since we were together. But last month we shared with you our mission and vision, and you approved that at the last board meeting. So the team that worked with us to create the mission and vision and are still working with us to create our strategic plan, we refer to them as our guided coalition. And so this just explains the process of the guided coalition. We have membership from across all stakeholder groups. We have students, teachers, parents, community members, classified, and administrators. The purpose of our group is to ensure that stakeholder involvement is transparent, or stakeholder involvement in transparent communication focused on student achievement. And so their responsibility is shaping data-driven decisions, providing feedback to us, working collaboratively with us on system improvement efforts, and providing meaningful leadership roles for Martin County Schools. We get them together to work on the strategic plan. We will be getting them together to preview or review the consolidated district improvement plan, as well as we have several big stakeholder diagnostic documents that we have to prepare for the next audit. And so the coalition will be involved in that process too. I can speak from experience. This is my 3rd diagnostic review. This is the first time that we've got a good system in place where we've got a stakeholder group regularly meeting, coming together to help us do some of this diagnostic review work as it should be, as it's pointed out there in 2.5. So, meetings are called by the superintendent in accordance for guidance, review, revise, support, or input for our strategic plan as well as our district improvement plan. The team shall meet no less than quarterly to discuss our data checks, as we just talked about. That quarterly report is a very important instrument. We'll be sharing it with you. We also need to share that with our stakeholders. It covers everything from student attendance, teacher attendance, MAP data, K-Prep data, and on and on and on. So it's quite a lengthy document. And then the superintendent shall annually lead program effectiveness of our guided coalition using either the Plus Delta or district survey. And so we went back and looked, and we're up for our annual review of our guided coalition in April. We started our work last April. So again, that's part of our 2.5, developing opportunities for stakeholder involvement. Another key area with stakeholder involvement, let's see, school leaders in the district engagement in improvement planning efforts, was another key area. I was thinking it was right there in 2.5, and I may be off base, but It's your next handout, and that is our district communication plan. And again, this is, it was very easy to develop because these were things that have already been started since Mr. Meadows came. Things to inform internal and external stakeholders, educate the same audience about our missions, goals, and accomplishments, creating that two-way communication, and positively shape public opinion toward our Martin County School District. I think that's real important. I'm going to read that one more time. Positively shape public opinion and attitudes toward our Martin County District community. So again, this is, I believe, almost four pages of documentation, but these are all activities that we as the Guided Coalition, or we as the central office staff, or we as our school buildings have done to communicate with our district community. Whether it is an external partner, parent, organizations, business community, or the approaches, websites, calendars, newsletters, print media, electronic media, and so on. So this is our communication plan. So be sure that you look through that if you have any questions for the next meeting, or if you have any questions on Monday night, you can let me know and I will try to answer those. Yes, sir.
I just got, which we talked about before, which we talked about communications, but I don't know if you're familiar with, maybe Mr. Meadows or maybe Lisa's familiar with, which I saw on the KSBA, which I'm always reading and go on and read the articles, but it's talking about internal, external communications training offered. It's an annual professional development event, and of course it's the Kentucky School Public Relations Association. Do we, or can we, if we don't, can we get somebody involved as far as communications, talk about social media, community event planning, communications at board meetings. Of course, presenters at that conference will be, professionals from different districts, and a panel of journalists on media and school relations. But is there...
Like a public relations?
Yeah. Is there, do we have someone, or can we send somebody to the conferences November 13th or 14th? Can we, kind of think about,
Yes.
the internal, external? I just think it would be worthwhile. So, that's just, since we're talking about communications.
Right. Absolutely.
So, to boil it down in a nutshell, we got the website, we got newsletters, of course, the telephone, and
Right,
of course,
our phone system.
Phone system, parent-teacher conference.
The school report card,
Open houses.
open houses.
Don't you have a variety of district forums, like opening sessions and different things like that?
So all of those.
Okay.
And each school, I believe, has their own website. It's under construction, but each school does, and then the district does. Plus all the open houses and
Right.
open forums.
I know that's something that we were, stressed or concentrating more on, is like they talked about deficiency as far as the degree to which the school system designed implemented programs to meaningfully engage parents in their children's education, so we are striving,
Yes.
which I can see that,
I think our Friskies are probably the biggest parent involvement coordinators that we have.
Right,
They
and
do great.
two of our grant initiatives that we have this year with
Yes.
our literacy program in conjunction with the community center, great parent involvement piece. And Born Learning is meeting tonight. Our first meeting is over at Eden tonight until 7:30, I believe. And they've invited all parents from all three schools. Eden was the only one that was awarded the grant, but they've opened it up to all three schools.
That's great.
So that's our preschool to kindergarten parent involvement piece. All right, so a lot of opportunities that we have for stakeholder involvement there. Now, 2.6 to 3.4, that was the big one. And it says, if you'll look at the statement, it says develop and implement policies and practices that will ensure leadership and staff monitoring, supervision, and evaluation processes result in improved professional practice in all areas of the system and improved student success. So the rationale, just some things that I had highlighted: systemic monitoring, supervision, and evaluation processes. So last spring, Mr. Mayo and I sat down and we were like, what are some key things that we need to monitor? So we started drafting a district monitoring tool. Then Ms. Spangler came by and she had her agenda, and I said, I love that agenda. So I took her agenda and kind of drafted it into our own Martin County district monitoring tool. Each school has a district liaison, and we gave this out in August at our first principals meeting, and we went over it and we said, these are the things that we're going to be monitoring as a district. And we've covered everything we could possibly think of, from classroom observations and walkthroughs, lesson plan feedback, your school improvement plan, any Big Rock or 30-day plans that they have, school initiatives. On the handout that I've given you, I have their CT for GC. That's a co-teaching initiative at our middle school. So anything that's school specific, we tweak for that school. This was just a sample. RTI, our SAT team, is the RTI, is the red zone built into the schedule. ILP monitoring, that's for our middle and high school, and so on and so on. And the next page goes down all the way to quarterly reporting. Is there quarterly reporting data in? And their safety drill documentation. So these are things that the district liaison, for example, I'm the liaison to the high school. We gave this to the principals in August and we went over it. They had all of September to work on making sure these were focus areas for their daily routine. And so now it's October, so now we're going out for our first visit. My first visit with Dr. Laney was more of a coaching session than it was sitting down and going through the data. It was the first time he and I had the opportunity. So we talked about classroom walkthroughs and observations. What kind of data am I looking for? Not just a visit and a check off, but I want him to actually have a conversation, a face-to-face meeting with the teacher afterwards. Here's what I saw, here's what I think could be better, or can you clarify what was Johnny doing when everybody else was doing this, and so on. Lesson plans, we also had that conversation, not just to check they've done them, but have you looked at that lesson plan and provided feedback to that teacher? So each liaison then is going out in the district to collect this data for district monitoring. So when we have our central office meetings, then we can look at our monitoring tools and see what supports we can give to that school. Whether it is, if safety drills aren't being met, then Mr. Grayson over safety, then he might go out and make a visit specially to that school. Or if there's something not going on, if they're not doing walkthroughs as they should, then they might say, Lisa, can you go out and take a look at what's going on and why are they not getting into this classrooms at another school? So that's what our district monitoring tool, brand new, hot off the press, just trying it out in October. So
Will these come back to us, Lisa? Or once they're completed, will we get to?
we can send those electronically to you.
That'd be good.
Sure, absolutely. Now, another tool, I believe, let's see, yes. Our informal, let's see what I have down. Your next handout is our informal, formative process. And what that is just our walkthroughs. When the principals are actually out in the building, in the classrooms, they go for two reasons. They'll go, one, to see what kind of instruction, what kind of activities the students are involved in, or two, they'll go out for an official evaluation visit. So this is for informally, going out into the building and seeing what's going on. This summer, we adopted, and we've been very excited about it, the Elliott instrument. And it's an effective learning blah, blah, blah tool. And I'm saying it may not even be effective. But anyway, you know me and all these acronyms. But the good thing about it is it's student focused. It is no longer going in and seeing what's Miss James doing with her students, but it's going in and saying what are the students doing. Is there a good rapport with the students to the teachers? What activities are the students participating in? What kinds of conversations are the students having with each other? What kind of conversations are they having with the teacher? So we're really excited about that. And the company that has come up with this Elliott instrument is the same company that does all of the school and district audits, diagnostic reviews. So that team of experts has already been to the high school to do baseline data for us this fall. And Dr. Laney is going to be on a conference call with them Friday to go over those results. And we're already seeing, it's funny that you mentioned differentiation, but we're already seeing that preliminary data at the high school is showing us that differentiation is a weakness. So pulling it back to this 2.6 and 3.4, district monitoring. I have been actively involved in doing walkthroughs with Mr. Laney, or Dr. Laney. Carolyn has done walkthroughs with Dr. Laney, as well as Mr. Mayo. Now we've got advanced ed. The district has provided that support. Thank you. The district has supplied that support from advanced ed to do that walkthrough data, so that we can now begin to dig deeper. We see if differentiation's an area across the board. Dr. Laney has said, okay, as you're designing your lessons, I want to see what high yield strategy you're using. Document it in your lesson, and let's see. So that's the kind of feedback he's getting. So we're really focusing on that instruction.
So what's the Elliott?
Right, they refer to it in the diagnostic review.
Yeah, the effective learning environment.
Observation tool.
So what they found using that was we were lacking, which I guess we're concentrating on, was high expectations and rigorous learning environments. So what's that?
And Mr. Harless and Miss Lisa, she just spoke about advanced ed coming in and conducting that walkthrough. We have a conference, a webinar on Friday to get feedback on that. But just in a brief review, Mr. Mayo and I briefly looked at the feedback and did a quick comparison, and our ratings are up at this time. So that will, and we'll get you that by the next meeting. I just
Yeah, oh no, that's quite all right.
update you on that.
So for 2.6 and 3.4, we have our district, even if you want to write on there, if you want to put 2.6 on this form and 3.4, that's fine, that's what it addresses. And so does our informal walkthrough process, 2.6 and 3.4. Oh, you're fine.
So quality educators are characterized by, what do they say? Strong communication skills, knowledge of your contents, what you look for,
Knowledge of content.
and how you teach.
And how you teach.
That knowledge.
Right, right. Because you know, you can be a whiz at it, but if you can't present it so that the students can understand it and achieve, right. But the Elliott, the informal walkthrough instrument that we're doing, looks at learning environment, high expectations environment, a supportive learning environment, active learning, as well as progress monitoring. Are they constantly checking on who has it and who doesn't have it? A well-managed classroom, and then digital learning. So
Higher level thinking, problem solving, those.
Right.
What's that? What is that? Analysis,
Yes.
synthesis, and
Yes, it's the
evaluation.
top of your Bloom's taxonomy.
I remember something from psychology back
And now I think they refer to it as the depth of knowledge.
Oh.
Yes.
All right, so 2.6 and 3.4, district monitoring, district support down to the schools. We have our district monitoring tool. We have informal walkthroughs that we as the district do with the principals to see what's going on in the classrooms. Then we also talked about PLCs. We mentioned those earlier. And so the professional learning community we have in your handouts is the next one. Again, this is a process that we use across the district. It is built into the schedule at our high school and our middle school. This summer, we had, we have there listed training with the DeFore model. We also used the Plan, Do, Study, Act as part of our professional development across the district. And so that model is a little more in detail, built on the DeFore model that we're using across the district. And what I mean by Plan, Do, Study, Act, in a PLC, as Carolyn said, the teachers get together, they plan their unit, and they plan the common assessment. Then the do, they're gonna go out and teach it. They're gonna go out and see how well they did. Then they're gonna bring that data back together at with their next assessment, and they're gonna study the data. What does the data tell us? What does the data not tell us? Was somebody having, if Johnny failed the test, why did he fail the test? Was he out all night? Something going on at home? Or was there a lack of effort? What was the situation? And then act. What are we gonna do based on this data? So Plan, Do, Study, Act is our formal process that the teachers do together collaboratively in their PLC time. And we sit in on some of those. The district liaisons, the SAT team, depending on what the need is, what level of support they need, we are actively involved in those as well. All right, so 2.6 and 3.4, I told you it's a lot. That's a big one. So the next handout that I have for you is the district data team that we talked about with Mr. Baker, Ms. James, Ms. Fitch, and myself. And we have weekly meetings. We try to meet. It's all built in there. Monday at 2. It tells you what we do when we get together. We look at any observation notes we have, sharing analysis. We look at plus deltas for next steps for our faculty, principals to follow up with walkthroughs, report the next steps to school visits, and then of course report to you all any findings and next steps as we will be doing with our quarterly report. So that explains the process of the data team when they're together. And the next sheet breaks down what the district quarterly report looks like. So, again, who's on point? We have the district assessment coordinator, the school psychologist, director of special ed, the curriculum coach, and each one of us is responsible for making sure we have certain information into the quarterly report. Our meeting is focused with if we need to involve the principal or the school counselor, and then of course monitoring the work from the quarterly. It feeds back into their professional learning communities. It feeds back into their school improvement plan. I have down their progress notes and assist, and it's basically just their school improvement plan. Are they monitoring? Okay, here's our plan, what we said we were going to do. Now it's a month later. Let's see, are we doing what we said we were going to do? And make some notes on that. Yes, we're doing it, and it's working. No, we're not doing it. We tried it, and that was a total disaster. We're not going to ever do that again.
You don't ever have one of those, do you?
Maybe just a few. I'm thinking of one right now. I got to get off the CDF. I'm not going to tell you what it is. All right. So I think that is pretty much 2.6 and 3.4, that big block. Supervision and evaluation processes. In what I have highlighted, our last rating says are randomly implemented and or poorly documented. And the results of these processes are rarely used by the system leadership to inform decisions. I can honestly tell you, since we have started the data team, it is all about curriculum, instruction, assessment. What are we teaching? How are we teaching? Are the kids mastering it? And then that just feeds out. It feeds out to the leadership teams at the schools. It feeds out to those student assistant teams that meet when kids aren't performing well. So we do have a system in place. It is being supervised. It is being monitored. It's feeding that quarterly report, and you all will be receiving that. So feel really good about that. It's a lot of data there, and all of those handouts that I just talked about are 2.6 and 3.4.
Ms. Lee said the quarterly report is, I'm going to a meeting tomorrow, and Martin's, along with a variety of other schools. Quarterly report will be ran through a whole team of reviewers, and they will give Ms. Lisa and Superintendent Meadows feedback on how to maybe be a little more specific, or some data points were needs to be clarified. And then once that's done, it goes to the commissioner's office as a reporting tool. So it is a very important document. And we do it here in Martin County with Fidelity, and it does mean something. So I just want to emphasize that.
Well, good, and I just want to point out that 2 years ago, we were not doing that. So that is something that you can talk about, moving in the right direction. All right, I'm not sure what time is it.
It is, I have 10 till.
Okay, 3.1 and 3.2, we'll quickly take a look at that one. And it says, redesign curriculum management procedures to ensure that students across the system are receiving challenging and equitable opportunities to develop learning skills, thinking skills, and life skills. That's 1. 2, that like courses and classes have equivalent learning. And 3, differentiated learning activities are provided consistently. And 4, curriculum, instruction, and assessment throughout the system are aligned and adjusted. So that brings you to, I believe it's your last handout that I have for tonight, and it's our curriculum piece. We do have a systematic way of looking at our curriculum across the board. Of course, it's the hardest for us to get our elementary people together because we have 3 buildings. Everybody's on different schedules with ball games and conferences and things like that. But we make a conscious effort every spring or every fall when we're doing PD days or PL days at the end. We pull our elementary teachers together. They look at it across the district, their curriculum. We look at curriculum maps. We look at curriculum timelines. First grade gets together, August. What do we want to teach? So that if Johnny jumps from Warfield to Tomahawk, he's not getting a dose of poetry in August at Warfield, and then he moves to Tomahawk and they're teaching it in October and he's getting more poetry, and he never gets characterization. So we try to streamline a timeline across the district. And this process tells you exactly how that works. We have, during our PLCs in our buildings, they'll do checkpoints. Okay, we said by October we would be on the unit on life cycle. So the science teams are together and they're looking to see if they're where they're supposed to be. Data analysis, and then those progress notes. We have curriculum maps and timelines all in curriculum notebooks. Each teacher has those. When we get to the high school, same process, but as she said, they're in departments. So we have a syllabus, we have a course outline, we have course expectations for every class. And as she also mentioned, that website is under construction. So we have those things. They have been on the website before. Don't think they're updated on the new website yet. But mark down November 14th is a day that will live in infamy. That is the day that our website will have all of the important data on it that we need, because that's the deadline for advanced ed, all of their paperwork that we submit electronically. So that's my key date. But our curriculum, they meet in PLCs, they revise their curriculum every year, and then a layer that we have added that Carolyn actually had a great idea, and so we've pulled it in here, is mid-year meeting with our 5th and 6th grade teachers and meeting with our 8th and 9th grade teachers, because that's another gap that's really hard to close when we're all in different buildings and we're all on different schedules. So we have some days set aside in November, and one of those days will be when we do some curriculum adjustments and curriculum progression notes. And that's one day that I want to make sure that we pull those vertical people together. So, and that's one way that we're hitting that, making sure that it's required by law that they teach the core academic standards. Then once we figure out what we have to teach by law, we come in together as a district and we say, okay, who needs to know what, when, and how long is it going to take us to make sure they know it. And so then we start drilling down, top down, so we get all the way down. What does the kindergarten student need to know to be college and career ready by the time he graduates? And I think that's our deficiencies for today. I told you there was a lot of information in there today. But if you want to put on 3.1 and 3.2 on that last handout, that's fine also. Carolyn and I are gonna hope that you can use these notebooks as you are doing your interviews,
I
and
feel pretty.
I think so
feel
too.
Very, so I will make sure with my point of contact. Friends, as we come to a close, here is what I would encourage you to do. As you can see, there is a tremendous amount of work that goes on, and I assure you, I'm an outsider. I'm an objective eye. So there's a tremendous amount of work going on every single day from these people, because my job is to ensure there's mentoring, there's coaching, there's monitoring, and I assure you that that is being done, and I assure you that what's in front of you, board members, is the processes that are carried out each and every day here. It's a lot of work. Have we arrived? You know we have not. But what's our number one collective work? Kathleen and I was talking about how board members get trained, and she said, you know, we get training and then we don't get a follow-up, and we just keep trying to do the best we can. Everybody is working very hard. Your number one job, your number one goal, as you already know, is student achievement. The Martin District, every student, every day, every class deserves a world-class education. The best that you can ensure, and it's certainly on my back to ensure that we're working together. And I'm happy to report, since I've been here in the district, I am continuing to learn Mr. Meadows' vision, Ms. Kirk's vision, your vision, and I am proud to be a part of that going forward. Again, we've not arrived, but I assure you, these are the right processes to get you to the end goal, which is every student proficient, right? I know that's your heart and your goal. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Superintendent Meadows, and I would ask you to review this work, make notes, shoot us an email, shoot Miss Lisa an email, Mr. Meadows, put down what are your burning questions. You have a right to know, and whatever we don't know, I assure you, we will find out. If you look on your agenda, I added your plus deltas next steps from the last meeting. And I think that we've hit on, someone said that we needed a more in-depth look at the CDEP. We need more high-level goals. I think we've addressed that tonight. So as far as my part, before you leave, if you'll conduct a plus and a delta and a suggested next step, if you wish, and post it on the chart paper as you go out. It does help us, one, evaluate this work. Don't hold back. If there was something not clear, Ms. Spangler, you talked too much. I will assure you, that probably won't be it will not be the first time that was on there, and it won't be the last. I can handle it. I'll try real hard and ask Mr. Meadows to sing me down the next time. But, friends, be honest. What can we do better to serve you so that you can serve Martin District? Superintendent?
Just tell them what you're going to tell them what you told them. So as I started out, the thing that we learned today, the big rock that we learned tonight, is how do we make decisions in our district? Whether that's in instruction, whether it's in finance, whether that's in facilities, whether that's in human resources, how do we make those decisions? It's based on data, and it's analyzing that data. Just remember that piece. And what I did not focus on was in that deficiencies are the board's policies, of course. I mean, because when I get a question, I look at policy every day. There's rarely a day that goes by that I don't get a question or I don't have a decision in front of me that I don't need to look at a policy. Today I was looking at emergency procedures. I got a call from Terry Quillen today that said, hey, I saw something flash across saying we're under a tornado watch. So I immediately pulled up our policies. What do we do in a tornado watch? Because his question to me was, do we cancel school activities? Well, I'm flipping back to the policies, it doesn't say it, and it's very flexible, it says principal discretion. So I said, Terry, if you have them, make sure the occupants of your building understand that we're on tornado watch. So the policies drive decisions as well. So the data and your policies drive the decisions of this district.
And we revised our CSIP policy, I believe, last meeting. Sure, last meeting.
What do we do in the event of tornado?
That's the principle.
It's, right, it's the principal's discretion of that, when it's a watch. Obviously, we're wanting to watch different things, but when it's a watch.
Which they undergo training for tornadoes and different.
Right, and that's what I shared with Terry. If you go ahead, make sure the occupants of your building understand that tornado watching, go over those drills and procedures for all the occupants in your building.
Which is on your district monitoring tool, those safety drills. The tornado drill is part of the safety drill that we monitor to make sure they're all done in a timely fashion.
Those are checked by these liaisons, so that's really important and commendable. That's all I have to.
I have, which, reading this,
Mhm.
give me something to read, don't you?
All right.
But I just noticed it, talking about, you should not, it said, do the least you can and keep others, which I guess sometimes we have a tendency to do that, keep people off our back. But put forth your best effort, make it challenging, and invite questions of interest, which I like, what you should do, so. And, which that's, in the past, we do things like that. Have a tendency to do that sometimes, even as a coach.
We should be asked questions, and we should be transparent in everything we do. That's been our message, our collective message, I believe. I can speak for all of us, since I've been here. There is nothing, this information I've handed out, and Lisa's handed out, can be seen on the Kentucky Department of Education. I'm not the owner of it. I wasn't on that audit, but it is my job to ensure that we're doing something about the deficiencies. And that I'm held accountable, and we are held accountable. But you know what? We're all in this together. We'll all be interviewed. And it's not like Superintendent said, and I'm glad he said that. This is not just about getting through an audit, friends. If it is, then we're all wrong, starting with me. It's about what are we doing every day? When you get up and you come to this meeting, what is your ultimate goal? What's your ultimate goal?
I think one
What's
thing
your
is
daily ultimate
stress-
goal?
Stress those high expectations. I think, even as a coach or a teacher, which we should have our high expectations as a board, we should have for ourselves, high expectations for Mr. Evans, teachers.
The power of
kids,
team. It should be a high expectation. We hold each other accountable for the power and the right of a team that supports the children of Martin County. That's our job, with period. We have a distinguished school. We all need to join hands and be so thankful and so grateful. We have other celebrations in your districts, friends. You've got something to celebrate, and we've got some work to do.
Like you said, we got work to do, but we got something wonderful to build on.
Just begun.
But I thank you for your time.
I do want to reiterate that the distinguished school is, just for all the INS people present,
Well, I want you to know I'm gonna wear my Warfield shirt with pride. I've never worn one, but I'm ready to put it on and so.
I'm just playing.
And then at 12, you put on your
What's the next
shirt
Yes.
tomorrow, or at 1:30.
Yeah. If
Don't
Terry
forget
ever
your
gets
pajamas, please.
Yeah, there will be a parade. Terringham's called a parade, I call it more like a caravan, isn't it?
Well, I believe they're going to go into Warfield, right?
Mm-hmm,
It's my understanding.
Yeah, but
And
they're
then
gonna be
they're
on
gonna bring their.
But they're gonna be on buses, right?
yeah.
They're not gonna get off the bus.
No, not until they get to the community center.
Okay, so they're gonna have parents with them and everybody, and they're all gonna be honking the horns and all that stuff.
Everybody down below.
Mhm.
Making,
Yeah, we're gonna hang out balloons and
on that, I think the judge will sign a proclamation.
Mhm.
Warfield's already got one, ready to go.
Don't forget your notebooks next time.
Yeah, I will bring that up though. And I would like to emphasize that Terry Quillen, which I talked to Terry about that day, said it's interesting that you and Dr. Hensley went to the same school, here he is, he's the education, you know, he's the turnaround specialist from state level.
Mhm.
And here you are, you have the distinguished, county's first distinguished school. Both of you are from Tomahawk. Kind of, is that a pattern? Terry's very, very proud, and he's really happy.
Yes, he is, as he should be. As
He
should
is,
be.
the teachers
Yeah.
are thrilled, the children are, I mean, parents, it's.
Yeah,
Keeping a lid on Terry until it was public release.
oh, I know, okay, I've known about it, actually, I've known about it for about a month, roughly a month. I mean, Terry, you can't say, you can't breathe a word of it. I said, well, I'm not. He said, well, we're a distinguished school, and I was, are you serious? Well, I didn't, I mean, I thought,
Okay.
top 5% of your school is distinction, right? If you're in the